Hi everyone. So recently I've been thinking about the fact that sometimes, I don't know if you can relate. If you can, please do share that in the comments. You kind of feel like you don't have something to offer, right? You feel like you are not good enough in some regard. Maybe you feel like you're not good enough at what you do, like at work, or you might not feel like you're giving enough in relationships, or in general, you might feel like there's nothing kind of unique about you, something that is valuable, that is unique, that is wanted. Sometimes you might feel that way. And I generally think there's no such thing as one person or one thing. That could be literally anything. It could be the most mundane thing that you look at around you, that you see around you. I don't think there's anything that doesn't have some kind of inherent value to it. I think everything has some kind of value. And the thing is, most people just don't recognize it. And because we're not recognizing the value of it, because we don't recognize and try to see how it's wanted, how it's needed, right? If we don't take the time to understand how something is wanted and needed, then how we do that would be by actually exploring that thing, really seeing its use cases, say if it's an item, or if it's a person, really seeing them across different kind of contexts, kind of how you would with a child, to see, okay, what is this little creature's skills, right? What is this person naturally interested in and seem to be naturally good at? Unless you become curious and kind of look at that child across different kind of settings, or with that thing, usually with things, it's a lot, obviously, a lot easier to understand what kind of the purpose and well, the thing that is made for, right? If you have a brush, you're gonna use it for your hair. But I wanted to think more about, like, say, the material of the brush, for example, right? And when you just look at the material by itself, you can easily say to yourself that that's useless. Or when you have a child and, for example, you put it through like a very rigid educational system, you're gonna say, potentially for a lot of children, oh, this child is not really smart. They're not really good at the school thing, and probably they're not gonna do well in life. So you can determine all those things, and it's usually easier to do that when they are kind of, when you haven't explored them again, you haven't questioned what their purpose is, you haven't questioned what they might be good for, you haven't tested the thing across different settings, you haven't tried creating something with the material, you haven't tried seeing the child and how it responds across different kind of situations and in different settings, and whilst doing different things, like, and what kind of the reaction is that that child is having, or how they seem to be feeling, how they seem to be interacting with things around them. If you don't pay attention, you become curious and you really question that, you're not going to really find any value in that thing. And very funnily, a way I started thinking about that was with hair. If you are someone that has curly or wavy hair, then you know that if you don't take care of it, it's gonna look like crap, right? And so I was thinking that, I was thinking back to the past when I used to not really take care of my hair, and it was really, really frizzy and crazy. And I thought, okay, my hair is so ugly, it's horrible. So it needs very specific care to flourish and to look great. So then I thought to myself, well, that applies to each individual, right? Sometimes it's not that obvious that, oh, you're really great at that. Sometimes what you need to do is, again, be curious and actually let yourself engage with something for long enough to, I don't know, build your skill up enough in certain areas to really see if it's for you, if you're good at it, if, you know, if you're valuable, say, in that line of work that you're doing, for example, or in any other pursuit that you're going after. I think the only way to really determine that is to actually test it out and put yourself through the waters and really see whether you can swim or not in those particular waters, right? That's how it works. And then I thought to myself, what happens when I actually really nourish my hair, when I really give it like the proper products, the proper nutrients, whatever it needs, through food, through anything? what's going to happen to my hair if I do that? Right? It's going to really look incredible and going to look amazing. And unless I actually look at myself in the same way, and like, unless you look at yourself in the same way and you become curious, and not only curious, but then also invest your time in yourself. Unless you do that, unless you invest that time, you're never going to see where you can go. And so you will always think to yourself that you're not good enough at things. And by that, I don't mean in terms of how good you are inherently, but more so in more of a practical sense, let's say, and knowing a practical sense regarding just life and kind of work and stuff, but just anything you can kind of contribute to people around you, to your family, to your friends, to anyone really. And another thing that we usually do, and I do a lot, is, and I made another video about that, is you look at people or things, I guess people, let's just focus on people that specifically seem to be incredibly good at something. They seem to have honed something very well. They seem to kind of be in their element in a way, and you might look at yourself and you might feel like, I'm not in my element. I haven't discovered the career or the thing that really makes me flourish and brings the best out of me. So then you can assume, okay, then I am no good, right? And I do that a lot. I look at other people and then I try to fit myself in that box by looking at those people, right? In a box of, okay, I'm going to be incredibly good at this, or I'm going to be as skilled as this person, whatever, right? So we'll think along those lines. And that is when you kind of lose your curiosity and you let yourself go, because you have your own individuality and you're your own unique person, which means that unless you, again, really look at yourself like you would with a child across different kind of situations, and unless you pour your energy and attention into you, into what you're trying to do, unless you do that enough, you're never gonna actually find the things you can do and the value that you generally bring to the table. Again, it doesn't always have to do with what you're actually doing, because it can sometimes be with what with how you are just around people, right? That in itself, just how you are naturally as a person without you really doing anything, without you trying to do anything, that alone can be of value, right? For example, if you're funny or something like that, right? If you do that around other people, right? If you just are yourself and you're funny and you make your jokes and everybody around you kind of soaks that up and really enjoys it, that is going to feel great, and everybody's going to feel great. You're going to feel valued because you are making other people feel like they're having a good time. You're going to feel valued and they are going to feel valued as well. And everyone is going to have a wonderful time and will feel good overall. You'll feel good about what you're bringing to the table, and then will generally feel good, because there's always some kind of an exchange in a relationship, even though a lot of the time it's invisible. And that is not a bad thing, and it doesn't have to be a practical thing. Like I said, it can be literally anything. And unless you specifically look at yourself and you really see the value in you, right? Like you would see the value in the material to create the hairbrush, like you would see the value in your hair that is crazy, you would see the value in it in transforming into very beautiful, gorgeous curls, like this little cutie right here, right? You're not going to see that value. You're not going to recognize it unless you engage in that thing, do that thing enough, try different things. For example, with hair, like you might try a lot of different products, you might try styling it differently, things like that. There are so many things that you can do to really bring the best out of something, and that you will always potentially think that it's shit or that there's nothing valuable in it until you have started doing that. So perhaps if you are feeling like you don't have anything unique to offer, you're no good in any way, perhaps you're being influenced by, all these practicalities for what is considered good, like somebody who gives, somebody who makes a little money, somebody who does a lot of things people around them, and maybe you have something that's preventing you from doing a lot in some regards, and that can be very demotivating. But you have something, and unless you invest that time in yourself, you're not going to find out what that is. So you need to just see the value in the diamond, basically, the diamond that's in the rough, right? You're a diamond in the rough, and unless you go through the process of creating that diamond and really making it truly shine, don't know what that process looks like. Unless you do that, then you might always just feel like you have nothing to offer, and you're gonna just continue going about your life feeling that way, and it's not a great way to live. It can be very demotivating and discouraging. So that is a little interesting thing that all came from me just literally doing my hair, because I'm trying to discover things that are working for my hair, and I just want to give it a lot of time, even though it's really frustrating and usually I get very horrible results. So that is it. And do subscribe to my newsletter if you want to see and hear more from me. I usually offer kind of practical reflections that you can use to arrive at certain conclusions in your life to help you live a better one. Because when you answer certain questions honestly and authentically, you can really get to the root of what's important to you, and that way you can make the necessary changes in your life to bring it to a point that you want it to be. So that's about it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.